for that. If we could return now to the our Banks Peninsula Community Board report. Andrew would like to move the receipt of the report, seconded by Phil, and I'll open that for debate.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to follow up on the comments that Pam had made, and that we have repeatedly seen in various forms from the Ākaro community, and this will resonate with councillors as issues that we've dealt with through various annual plan and long-term plan processes. Yanni's line of questioning I thought was particularly appropriate around the effectiveness of the Ākaro Issues Working Party. And we have certainly had some wins, the dredging of the slipway, the resurfacing of the gravel areas to Beach Road, a number of other very positive outcomes, some of which wouldn't have happened had the working party done its job and, as Pam said, pushed reasonably hard to get these things done. But I do remain concerned about some of these maintenance issues like the picture that we saw today. And, I think there's kind of a cascading list of questions that you would ask. The first of which is, have we got the level of service around this right? The second of which is this reflected correctly in the way that the contracts have been written? Are the contracts been performed correctly? And how do we know that? How are we monitoring or auditing contract performance, and what do we do about that when we find that things aren't being performed well? So I'm certainly very pleased to hear the suggestion that, I'm assuming, David, will be you or maybe one of your team, but I'm certainly looking forward to the opportunity to welcome you to a community board meeting on Banks Peninsula, so that we can have these discussions more fully, because there is an element here of we keep on doing what we're doing, we keep on getting what we've got, and we need to change this up ready for this summer season, and we need to satisfy the expectations of the Ākaro community, the Banks Peninsula community, and actually we need to maybe do some work to get those expectations in the right place as well. Local contracting is something that we've talked a lot about, and whilst the way that we've cut the contracts probably does mean that a local person wouldn't tender for the whole contract, we need to look at how we can weight an attribute in that contract which allows for local people to be recruited to do local work. The use of community volunteers, as was noted, inevitably brings up conversations about health and safety. We've worked through that with some of the reserve management committees, and it would be good to explore how we might be able to work through that with, maybe community people getting involved in some mowing or some parks maintenance and that sort of thing. So I absolutely welcome the conversation. The only other two things I think we need to consider is where things fall through the cracks. So we've had examples of work where one job needs doing, and we've got parks saying no, that's not our role to do that, and we've also got roading saying no, that's not our role to do that. So it falls through the cracks, and it means that nobody does that particular piece of work. And there are some things that we've picked up where that is the case, so we need to find a way of resolving those things. And also, of course, we absolutely hope that the problems that we've experienced and that the community have experienced with the CSR system will be resolved by the changes brought about by my council, and that's something that we're keeping an eye on very, very closely, because I think it's fair to say that the community's confidence in the old system has been eroded by a number of examples where jobs that have been put through haven't been responded to in a meaningful way. But look forward to welcoming you to our next community board meeting for that good conversation that we so much need to have. Thank you.
Looking very happy, Sarah.
I can just add to that while the Banks Peninsula communities have a much broader area of coverage and lots of roads and those kind of things, there's absolutely nothing that Andrew Turner has said that I haven't heard in my own community. And that those issues,
his community board report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right. I'm just making the point that these are issues that we are dealing with as an entire city.
Thank you. Yanni.
Thank you. I think I was really interested to hear that they're still under the old contract, not the new contract. And what I've taken from staff is that the new contracts have given us an opportunity to have a lot closer contract monitoring and performance. And certainly some of the reports we've had through our community board have been really good around showing the levels of service where things are working, where's aren't, and I think if that information can start going to that community board, to this community board, hopefully it would be better. But I think the point that I think the Mayor has made to us previously is when community boards come to council and raise issues, it's really helpful to have what do you want us to do about it, so that we can make decisions to try and solve the problem, not just constantly get told there's a problem, but not have any idea of what the solution is. So I welcome, you know, that the board has raised these issues. There are a number of issues in this report that are still sort of ongoing, things like rubbish bins, for example, things like the maintenance at the Gaiety, things like the unconsented structures on the wharfs, which we don't seem to have any requests for resolutions to. So it may be dealt with, but it's not clear from the report what's actually happened. So you can read a lot of frustration month to month on the same issues that have been brought in front of us. So I think getting decisions made by us is really important, but totally support improving our maintenance and happy to help that board in any way.
Yes, well, I allowed this process to happen because Andrew quite rightly was considering that his was a series of comments that he wanted to make to back up the community board. But what, on reflection, is a better process is rather than calling for questions, I'll call for questions and comments, because while the community board's at the table, it's actually better that we have an exchange, because, you know, I noticed that, you know, one of the councillors asked a question which implied that the working party hadn't worked, and of course it has been highly successful, but there are other things that need to be done in order to really make things really gel in the Banks Peninsula area. The other point that I'm now mentioning, because it's been raised in this context, is that the reason that this community board is on the old contract is that the council, at our direction, tried really hard to get a local contractor, and they couldn't get a local contractor to cover the end-to-end. And that's why I'm suggesting that when Dave Adamson goes to meet with the community board, they actually have a serious conversation about project by project relief on certain areas, because I think that might help to be a marriage of the two models that could make a difference in terms of locals looking after particular areas. So hopefully something really good's going to come of this, but I think what will be better is that with this community board report, we'll make it more of an engagement so that you don't have to focus on questions, but you focus on the comments at the same time, and then that means that you're not debating in the absence of the community board when it comes back to the table. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.